Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the coin and welcome to your post-match reaction. Chelsea nil, Crystal Palace nil. I had to go and sleep straight after the match because it was 1 a.m. I've woken up literally about an hour ago, not having enough sleep, but the mind is nice and fresh. The mind is nice and fresh. Look, ladies and gentlemen, of course we are disappointed. Of course we are disappointed. A lot of us, many of us, in fact, maybe nearly 100% of us believed that we could get a victory here. A lot of us had a prediction of 3-0, 2-0. Some even had predictions of 5-0 Chelsea victory. Look, the bottom line is there's no need to panic. Calm yourself down. Patience is required, ladies and gentlemen. We can't have huge sweeping statements off the back of the first game week. Look, I'll be honest, it wasn't the best performance from Chelsea Football Club. It looked like few of the players lacked a little bit of fitness. Few of the players definitely looked lackluster. It looked like some of them were a little bit behind the pace a little bit. And all of this will change. All of this will change. And I've got no doubts about that. So I'm not going to sit here and start thinking about, oh, no. Tell me, Miz, are we definitely in a title race? Look, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me that I'm going to come here after the first game week just because it was 0-0, just because it was a bit of a disappointing result, that I'm going to come here and change my tune all of a sudden and say, no, this team's not good enough? No, I fully believe this team is good enough. Fully believe this team is good enough. We just need to stay patient. And we have to remember, it's a marathon, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a sprint. And Cole Palmer actually put that out on the story. Let's start things from the top, ladies and gentlemen. Starting with the lineup, I thought the lineup was nice considering no Levi Colwill, no Tosin as well. Apparently, there's some news about Tosin that Tosin potentially could be out for a little while. So there's a problem that we need to talk about there. But I have to be honest, the defense for me was not the issue today against Crystal Palace. Yeah, we made some errors when we've built up from the back, but overall, I don't think defensively we had a clanger. If anything, up front, we lacked the creativity, we lacked the know-how. And that's kudos to Crystal Palace as well, man. They've defended resolutely. They were compact. They had some excellent players who, once they got the ball, they knew exactly what needed to be done, in the likes of Adam Wharton, Munoz, Eze. They were fantastic. And up front, obviously, Mateta was very, very good. But nonetheless, look, defense for me was not the problem. Let's start talking about the defense. First up, let's talk about Achapong. He's been the hottest topic that everyone wants to talk about. I thought Achapong overall was actually very good. I know he made a couple of errors on the ball, and that is an important factor. Giving the ball away when we're trying to build up in dangerous positions, leading to the opposition going for a counter-attack. I get that. I absolutely get that. But Josh Achapong was solid against Mateta, man. Solid. He absolutely held his own. Physically, he wasn't bullied one bit. Josh Achapong, ladies and gentlemen, look, there is a bit of a rift at the moment, I feel. I think Enzo Maresca wants a centre-back. The directors and owners are saying that, look, we've got a plethora of players, especially in defense, to pick. And we can't be going out to the market and keep buying, because Levi Colwill, let's be honest, it's not like, he's going to be back. He will be back one day. He won't be back this season, but he will be back one day, God willing. Tosin, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it doesn't seem like he's out for months and months. If you notice, like, we've got a lot of players that once they return back, it's going to be a conundrum for us in the squad, because not everyone's going to be part of the squad. We're still going for players like Xavi Simons and Garnacho. Don't forget, Romeo Lavia still needs to come back. Have a look at the bench that we had today. Once these players are all fit, who's missing out? Every week, at least 2 to 3 players are missing out. And, that in itself could pose a big problem. Now, look, I also understand that there may be a need to get a CB. I get that, especially a center CB. Look, there's no point in just getting any old CB. We need a CB that can play out from the middle. That's the problem. Maresca, once again, post-match, talked about Levi Colwill being so important playing out from the back. Tosin, so important playing out from the back. He doesn't just want any other CB. We've got CBs. The problem is we need a CB that can play out from the back. So that is something that needs to be focused on. I'm sure scouts probably have a list of players that we can go through, but it's not a guarantee. So I'm 50-50 with this. I'm very happy with Josh Achapong and how he performed. And yes, he gave away a couple of the passes. I understand that. But if we continue in this vein, there will be hardship in certain matches, but then there could be fruits at the end of it that Josh Achapong turns into a very, very good ball-playing defender. So, look, for me, Josh Achapong was good. In terms of others in defense, Reece James, Cucurella, and Chalobah, look, I don't really have too much to complain about. Chalobah probably made a couple of errors here and there on the ball, but besides that, I really don't have too much to complain about Reece James, Cucurella, or even Chalobah. Sanchez, look, ladies and gentlemen, that free kick from Eze, luckily, I mean, not so much luckily, it was definitely a foul on Caicedo from Marquis, but the shot from Eze was directly towards Robert Sanchez, and Robert Sanchez needed to save that. He 100% needed to save that. Besides that, I don't have too much else to complain about. Robert Sanchez, maybe a couple of the times when he went long, the distribution wasn't the greatest. There were other players that were free, and he should have gone that way. But in terms of defense, that was probably the strongest suit, in my opinion, in this match. Midfield is where we can have a conversation. Moses Caicedo, for me, was tops once again. He was everywhere. He was defending his heart out. Top performance from Moses Caicedo again. Enzo Fernandez, ladies and gentlemen, look, I don't want to go in, and smash this player because it feels like he's a little bit undercooked at the moment. He was definitely off his game. He is one who needs a little bit more time to rev up his engine because he looked like he was off the pace big time. Some of his passes weren't crisp. Some of the passing was just a stray. And I'm hoping as weeks go on, Enzo Fernandez does improve. But, we still got good backups in the likes of Andre Santos. When Andre Santos came on, he had a massive chance to score. That was probably the best chance we had. In the second half, when Andre Santos finally came on for Enzo Fernandez, Andre Santos, ladies and gentlemen, that was the best chance. And he should have hit the target on that one. In terms of the wings, look, all of our attacking players didn't play well, besides Pedro Neto. Gittins, ladies and gentlemen, look, we have to stay patient. I have to stay patient. He definitely looked like he lacked energy. He didn't seem to have the confidence to take his players on. You saw the vast difference when Esteban Willian came on. Esteban Willian was in the bench. He came on in the second half quite quickly. And he did bring a lot of energy. He gave us a little bit of impetus to go and attack Crystal Palace on a regular basis. Esteban Willian's performance, and have a look at Gittins' performance, it's night and day. Gittins was timid. It was Gittins. And he was passive. And that's something he needs to improve on. And a lot of people were saying when we were doing the live watch along that, hey, nothing different from Madueke, is it? Right? At least Madueke at times, he would take his man on. So Gittins needs to improve drastically because that is not going to be acceptable on a week-to-week basis. The problem is the person that we're linked with, who is Garnacho on that left side, I don't think he's much better. I really don't think he's much better. And crazy part is if Garnacho comes and it's a competition between Gittins, Garnacho might get some game time. So let's see what happens on that left side. Hopefully Gittins finds a lot more confidence. It is the first game week, so we can relax a little bit on him. But his performance today against Crystal Palace definitely was one of the stinkers out there. Cole Palmer, ladies and gentlemen, once again anonymous in this game. Now, partly maybe because of how compact Crystal Palace was tactically in the middle of the field, we simply couldn't find Cole Palmer. And the other factor could be is, that center CB, the center CB, finding those line-breaking passes. Josh Achapong just didn't find Cole Palmer. And it wasn't just Josh Achapong. Whether it's Chalobah, whether it's Reece James, we just couldn't find Cole Palmer often enough. He just wasn't there. And whenever he was there, even Cole Palmer, his passing was astray. His decision-making wasn't as crisp as we have seen previously. So Cole Palmer, for me, definitely didn't have a good game either. Definitely didn't have a good game. João Pedro up front, you know, what a blockbuster start to Chelsea. All of a sudden, he wasn't much involved today in the game, and partly because of how packed Crystal Palace was in defense. Whenever Crystal Palace defended, they defended with every man behind the ball, which made it very difficult. A lot of people are talking about, is this how it's going to be for low blocks? I don't think so, man. I don't look. Today it was very, very evident. It wasn't the best match we had. We can play so much better. So much better. We can pass better. We can press better. We can transition better. We can be far more clinical in front of the goal. Estevan Willian had a really good chance as well in the second half when he came on. Ball fell for him inside the box. He made a brilliant darting run and the shot went high. Andre Santos, we talked about the shot went skyrocketing. Chalobah had a really good chance in the first half, right in front of the goal. Didn't even hit the target. Pedro Neto, for me, ladies and gentlemen, was our best performer. He worked his backside off. He attacked well. He defended well off the ball. He was a menace. He, every time he was winning the ball back. But that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Crystal Palace, look, it's not like they peppered us. Eze's free kick disallowed goal was probably the biggest chance. There was a Mateta shot from range as well, where Achapong didn't close him down. Besides that, I don't really recall too many other huge chances for Crystal Palace. It wasn't like Sanchez had to be called upon business time and time out. One thing I will say, we need to improve our set pieces. We had a number of corners and we just don't look threatening enough. So look, ladies and gentlemen, overall, I'm going to say that stay patient. No need to panic. It is disappointing we dropped points against Crystal Palace. I'm not denying that. We need to win at home. If we want to compete for the Premier League, if we want to compete for the title, I don't know, a lot of people will laugh about this. Oh, this guy talking about competing. I fully believe so. This team, from what we've seen for the past 3 months, it's on the up. There is a debate where a CB is needed or not. We shall see. I'm neither here nor there because I don't know what names are out there. And it's not just about just getting any defender. We need a specific defender. I think Simmons will definitely help. Garnacho, I don't know how much. But I think Simmons would definitely help in this sort of team. A little bit more creativity. It's not like the creativity is lacking. The opposition was resolute today. And it is the first game week. And we definitely looked like we lacked a bit of energy. So hopefully all of that changes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not panicking as yet. Still 1 point against a quality opposition. I wish Eze didn't play, but he ended up playing. He's going to probably go to Spurs. He's going to go to Liverpool. And it might not be the same Crystal Palace again. I do want to shout out one player from Crystal Palace. A lot of good players. Adam Wharton, fantastic. In fact, there was another pass in the first half where Adam Wharton put it through to Mateta, and Mateta shot straight at Sanchez. That was a lovely, lovely play from Crystal Palace. Lacroix, their defender, that's someone that we could potentially look at. He's someone who can play out from the back, but I don't think Crystal Palace can, afford to lose even more players. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. Me personally, disappointed, but I'm not losing my mind. We've got West Ham next up, and they look shambolic. Hopefully, we put them away and we get back on track. And I still fully believe we're a very, very good team. Very, very good team. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Till next time, take care. See ya. Bye.